Welcome to the Squad Show. I'm Sam Ekstrom, and today we force ourselves to say something positive about the Vikings.
Reggie Wilson, Care 11 Sports Director, and of course, after only 5 games, let's all make sweeping judgments about J.J. McCarthy.
Julia Daniels, Care 11 Sports Reporter. Got to piggyback off Reggie there. Let's jump to the conclusions of what this franchise is going to look like after 5 starts with J.J. McCarthy.
Ron Johnson, former NFL and Gophers wide receiver, Gophers Hall of Famer. And I'm going to say something positive about the Vikings. The Packers don't like to cover tight ends in the red zone. So maybe it's going to be a good week for J.J. McCarthy and T.J. Hawkinson or Josh Oliver. We'll see.
Skol! It's the Viking Squad. Everything Minnesota Vikings every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the land of 10,000 lakes. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. It's time to gear up. The Viking Squad Show starts now.
Welcome into the midweek Wednesday Care 11 edition of the Viking Squad Show. We're streaming on Locked On Vikings on YouTube. Get our audio on demand wherever you get your podcasts. It's all part of the #1 sports podcast network, the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Brought to you today by FanDuel. New customers can bet just $5. If your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Today, we are going to change the tone around the Minnesota Vikings. We are going to force ourselves to find some silver linings about what's happening with J.J. McCarthy and his surroundings on this 4-6 football team. We discuss how Kevin O'Connell is handling the struggles. He's had at least 3 press conferences since Sunday. Talk about what he's saying, what we're hearing, and the subtext of what we're hearing out of the head coach's mouth. Plus, we look ahead to Green Bay, Sunday's game. Vikings 6.5-point underdogs at Lambeau, plus bold predictions for that game as well. Let's dive in. Here's the opening exercise. It's been really negative the past 3 days. Fan base is freaking out. Let's find something that's good about the Minnesota Vikings. It could be J.J. McCarthy. Could be outside of J.J. McCarthy. I would throw this out there to begin. J.J. McCarthy has shown a proclivity to play his best in the fourth quarter. We've seen him for 5 games now. I think you toss the Atlanta game out. You look at Chicago, big-time plays. Detroit helped seal that game with the final throw to Jalen Nailor. Even the Ravens game, I think you could say, well, they were down 2 touchdowns. He dug him a pretty big hole. Kind of helped get him close to digging out of it. 1 touchdown drive, completed some 4th downs, had the ball late, and then stalled out. And then, of course, the Bears game on Sunday. So 4 out of 5, I think you could say that there's been a clutchness to J.J. McCarthy that is that's an intangible that not everybody has. So that's a positive in his in the check mark, the plus column. Julia, what do you got? What's going well with this team?
I do like that you said that. I was on the power trip this morning, and they were talking about how JJ has the clutch gene, right? It's like the no quit attitude. Sometimes I feel like the Wolves have a little bit of the clutch gene. I mean, there's a reason that wasn't Anthony Edwards one of the finalists for Clutch Player of the Year last year? Because was it Ant or was it Julius Randle? I think it was Ant.
Probably Ant, yeah.
Just because of the situation that the team would put itself in, not because necessarily, I mean, he's a clutch guy. But yeah, anyways, I digress. Yes, I do think that J.J. McCarthy has the clutch gene. I will say also, I think that there is positive. I think that this defense still has the foundation and a scheme that can be successful. I just think they're a little bit sloppy right now, but we've seen some really bright spots from a lot of guys on that side of the ball. Jalen Redmond has been a huge positive for this Vikings defense. He's been a monster this year. Reggie and I were talking about how he was in the XFL before this, and he's like, I don't want to go back. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure I don't got to go back to semi-pro football. So I think it's that. I mean, having Andrew Van Ginkel back out there is always good. Blake Cashman makes an impact. I think that they have the personnel to have a great defense. I think it's just consistency that they're working on right now. But I think that it's something that can definitely be figured out when you have 7 games left in a season. Even though playoff hopes are basically dead, I do think that the defense has been a bright spot for a lot of these games. And that's, I've sent out a ton of tweets that have been like, hey, Vikings offense, thank your defense at this point in the game, because they've kept them in a lot of different situations, and they've been running to the ground a lot. Like, they've spent a lot of time on the field. When we were looking, it's at one point in the fourth quarter, the Bears had 12 more minutes of possession than the Vikings did at that point in the game. And that's a lot of work for this defense to go through, and that's tiring. And so I think, I think that they've got really great leadership on defense. And I think that they've got some guys that maybe were unexpected standouts that they've had. And so I think that would be my positive, is the defense never gives up hope.
I'm looking at Jalen Redmond XFL stats right now. He was playing, this is 2024, spring 2024, 4 games, 5 sacks, 12 pressures, number 1 graded defensive tackle on Pro Football Focus in the XFL. Love Jalen Redmond. Reggie, what do you got?
PFF grades UFL, XFL too. Like, that's okay.
Oh, they're sickos.
That's some sicko behavior right there. Like, sicko behavior. And it's so funny too, just to think about the fact that Jalen Redmond played in the spring and then played in the fall as well. He's just like, yeah, rent is due. I think Julie and I were joking like that. But hey, look, the rent is due. I am not going back. Okay, the rent is due. It doesn't matter. That's a lot of work in 1 year. Football is especially at his position.
Yep.
He's making himself, quite a bit of money right now. I also was gonna say defense. If you look back at the last 2 games, so they haven't won. I actually ran this last night on Care 11 at 10 o'clock. They haven't won the turnover margin since the London game against the Browns. That's a long time. That's a long time. But the last couple games specifically, the defense has played well enough for the team to win. And it was so funny, like, talking to Blake Cashman after that Ravens game. He was just like, the Ravens don't do anything like super complicated. Like, he's like, I'm not like trying to be insulting, but like, they just do simple things well. And then, of course, this past Sunday, they do the tush push fake with Mark Andrews, and he spins around and runs faster than I've ever seen him in his life for that touchdown to put the game away against the Browns. That was a pretty sick play. But I think going back to the game against the Bears, like, they pretty much kept Caleb Williams corralled. I think he was 16 for 32 on his passes, and he broke away and made some guys look silly on a few runs. That's just kind of what he does, the nickname Houdini and all that. But I think some positives, they only allowed 1 touchdown against the Bears, and it was kind of because the offense put them in a tough situation. It's like, okay, what do you expect them to do? And so I think that's something that's a positive. They haven't grabbed a turnover in a couple games, which, that concerns you. But that game against the Ravens, they play well enough to win. The game against the Bears, they play well enough to win. Andrew Van Ginkel, as Julia said, he flashed. Dallas Turner, looking like a player, should have had another sack against the Ravens. That crazy roughing the passer call. What else are you supposed to do there with Lamar Jackson? I hate that call. And obviously Dallas did as well. He was very frustrated after that call. But he played well. He was able to get to Caleb Williams and apply some pressures. And he looks like a guy that the Vikings spent a first-round pick on. And so, the back end of the defense held up. They gave up some plays, but no true big plays to the Bears. Like, they're playing well. Brian Flores, I thought, they were in a crisis earlier this season because it didn't look good against the Eagles. It didn't look good against the Chargers. I'm like, oh, man, like, is this defense broken? And they've come out and responded. Credit to Flo. And he talked about the fact that they were in some meetings yesterday, kind of going over a game plan for Jordan Love. And he feels like that they have a good plan in place for Jordan Love, who is a roller coaster, as we all know. Sometimes he looks like a future Hall of Fame quarterback. Other times he looks like he is one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, Vikes beat him twice last year. Ron, spin some positive yarn for me.
Yeah, I was going to go defense as well, but you know what? Let me change this up. I'm going to give some credit to Kevin O'Connell in the offense. Now, one, in the red zone, they have the second most sacks allowed, which is 9. So that's not good, right? But they are one of 2 teams, I think 2 or 3. I think it's 2. Let's see. 2 teams. Yeah, they're one of 2 teams that have not had a turnover in the red zone this year. So that's a one positive. I'll say when they get down to the 25 and in, Kevin O'Connell is doing a good job of making sure they know, hey, we are in field goal range. Do not give it to the other team. Fumbles, you can't control that, but they haven't fumbled the ball. We used to have a lot of that last year where all of a sudden you're like, oh, the Vikings are going to score, and then it's an interception. Oh, the Vikings are going to score. Oh, it's a fumble by the quarterback or running back. They've done a good job. Now, here's the other problem, though. The other team that doesn't have any turnovers in the red zone, the Cleveland Browns. So I don't think turnovers in the red zone are really like helping you because that means you're not being aggressive enough and going for the gusto. Again, sorry, not to go negative on them, but I will say that, like in the red zone, the other positive for the Vikings, and it's more so about their opponent coming up, is they are playing the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers have allowed 63 catches to tight ends and 5 touchdowns. And so when you look at the lack of tight end production in the red zone, I think this is another positive for Kevin O'Connell to look at, because I looked at every single game to see which games had tight end productivity is the word. The Dallas Cowboys used Jake Ferguson. I don't know if the Cavender twins is pushing the coach to say, hey, get my boyfriend the ball. But Jake Ferguson in the red zone, you see McBride with the Cardinals. And again, it's not even Calamari as my guy Keith Talib would say. But this is Brissett. So you're telling me Jacoby Brissett can find his tight end twice in the end zone for a touchdown. And if Kevin O'Connell can't figure this out, we just got to put this on the rookie year growing pains and say, let's move on to 2026.
Yeah, TJ Hawkinson may be suffering as much as anybody in this offense for whatever reason. And I don't know if it's all TJ. I mean, some of it, they're needing him to block more. He is dropping some balls. That's not good.
A lot.
Can't have that. Can't be having people tweeting TJ Droppinson at you. Don't like that. But he's probably had the biggest fall off this year. Let's talk more about the head coach when we come back. I want to hear what you guys think, or how you think KOC is handling the most trying period of his tenure as Vikings coach. He's been talking a lot. He's been asked a lot. But JJ McCarthy, how is he responding? We'll dive into that next.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance. You can let yourself run, lift, flex, and go, while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
All right, welcome back to the Squad Show on the Locked On Podcast Network. Make sure you're checking out the Squad Show Mondays and Thursdays as well, and after the games with some combination of this group, plus Arif Hassan, Luke Braun, Luke Inman, and check out Luke Braun on Locked On Vikings, of course, every single day. All right, I know, Reggie, you're dialed into the press conferences over at TCO Performance Center. KOC's been asked a lot this week after the game. Monday press conference, Tuesday on KFAN with PA, Wednesday press conference. It's all been JJ, JJ. How do you think he's handling all of this with all the scrutiny? He was labeled the QB whisperer for a reason, and now he's kind of having to put his money where his mouth is with that nickname, right? And back it up. How do you think it's all being handled by the head coach?
Yo, my man's is getting cooked. I was looking at the presser on Monday, and it always feels like on Mondays, like he didn't get a whole lot of sleep, and he's coming to the press conference just like exhausted, but he just sounded like a guy who is just really in it right now. And, to his credit though, and I gotta give him, some shout out here, but he's like not been super defensive about this thing. And here's the thing. I tell Julia this, I mentioned it last night or the night before on Care 11. His words: organizations fail young quarterbacks more than young quarterbacks fail organizations. Those were his words. And it's so funny because this year he is having to get put to the test, put that to the fire. And, it's been tough. I don't know that maybe the coaching staff, I don't know that maybe the fan base thought that JJ McCarthy would be this developmental. And to his credit, he's doing everything that he can to try to get JJ ready. And it's so interesting, though. JJ just kind of needs time on task. And Kevin O'Connell mentioned to PA, hey, we're just waiting on the cement to dry for some of the things that he is doing in practice and having those things consistently applied to game day. And I think, you look at JJ McCarthy, and a quarterback that I see as a guy that when he is in the fire and it's game time, his mechanics, his fundamentals, they slip. And he looks like a guy who was the guy in college at Michigan. Has kind of the pitcher wind up, the leg kick, and all that stuff. I don't think we've ever scrutinized the guy's mechanics as much as we scrutinize JJ McCarthy's, which is crazy. But I thought, looking back, there's a guy named Nate Tice who called back an article that he wrote for Yahoo yesterday, and he was just like, yeah, some of the things that McCarthy is struggling with are some of the same things that I brought up in his pre-draft evaluation and why I had a second-round grade on him. And I think the Vikings coaching staff was just confident that they could, bring a quarterback into their system, into their program, and develop him. But it's only been 5 games, and I think Kevin O'Connell is kind of under fire here, and I feel for him. I don't envy him because people want to see results, because this is a Vikings team that it was built to win now, but now they're also developing a young quarterback, and it's taking a little bit longer. It's taking a little bit more than people thought. And so now you're losing football games with this win now roster because the quarterback's development is kind of slow coming. And now you got these efforts kind of going against each other, which is what I talked about. I see Alex C's comment about Ben Johnson coming in and getting Caleb Williams ready. Here's the thing. JJ missed the whole season last year. One of my closest friends from Chicago, a huge Bears fan, he texts me all the time. He's like, game 25, game 26 for Caleb. People want to write Caleb off, but now Caleb has all these games under his belt. Kevin O'Connell was able to take guys who were pros already, who kind of experienced the live action of football, so they kind of know exactly what they're getting themselves into when it comes to playing in NFL games. And he was just able to refine some of the tools that they had and get them playing better. There's like a whole reclamation. There's like a whole just like molding of the clay type of a project with JJ McCarthy, because this is a guy that you need to build all the way up, and it just takes some time. And it seems to be taking more time than the fans are really having the patience for, but you just got to stick in.
Yeah. I mean, Ron, I think the last 3 years with KOC, he had veteran quarterbacks who had the technique. They just needed to get, the right voice in their ear, put in the right spots, and it worked with Kirk and Dobbs and Darnold. Now it's a big technique conversation. Now it's building up JJ McCarthy from this blank slate. And that is taking more time than I think anybody anticipated.
Yeah, and so one, having a teenage daughter, like when Reggie said KOC was in it, like the only thing I could hear was in it. Like that's all I could hear. It's literally that's all I heard.
You killed Julia.
Julia
Julia's
knows
dead.
that. She's got to spin it. So
Oh my
anyway,
God.
literally that's all I heard in my head. But so here's the thing, like KOC, so if he had a full year with JJ McCarthy on his feet, he could have worked on the technique. He could have worked on the throwing angles. He could have worked on the arm, elbow above the shoulder. He could have worked on the hand, fingers on the laces. When do you spin it? When do you float it? You watch some of those Caleb Williams throws. It felt like they were like perfect John Madden drawn up. Like I can hit the X button this hard. I can smash it. I can throw it super hard. Like it felt like Caleb Williams was like doing it right where it's supposed to be. JJ McCarthy, on the other hand, a couple of those Justin Jefferson throws. Again, even the touchdown, right? You got outside go route, and you got a middle seam that's running a post. The minute the middle seam runs a post, the outside cover 4 cornerback, he is looking inside, meaning he's covering his deepest quarters, which would have been Addison, but he's also has eyes to number 2. The minute number 2 runs a post, you know that you have safety help. You can turn around and go right away. If that was any other cornerback than Nashawn Wright, that's probably a pick 6 or an interception at least, or a knockdown. Nashawn Wright was just like, after the post broke, Nashawn Wright stood there. So in my mind, I feel like Kevin O'Connell is maybe overcoaching parts of JJ McCarthy's game versus trusting that he's going to see what he sees. Like it feels like JJ McCarthy is holding the ball too long. It feels like he's trying to force in some of these deep balls. It feels like when he knows the throw is wide open, I don't know if he's getting antsy or he just airmails it. I think KOC is handling it from a media perspective. Like he's not going full what's the Miami coach, McDaniels? He threw Tua under the bus numerous times. I'm surprised Tua doesn't just drive to practice in a bus and just be like, look, coach, here it is. If you want to throw me under it, it's my week. He's at least like backed JJ McCarthy and said, hey, the guys do have to catch the ball. Like there have been some drops. There have been some, like you can tell some routes are being run wrong, because on those choice routes, you could tell like he's thinking like, oh, why? Like you can see the kind of the hand, like, why aren't you doing this? Like you can tell there's some miscommunication going on too. But I think Kevin O'Connell is failing JJ McCarthy. And not, if you watch Dante Moore for the Oregon Ducks versus the Gophers this week or any week, they are making that offense Heisman candidate worthy because he's not asked to throw the ball down the field every time. Dante Moore is 6'3.5-ish, 220 pounds, NFL caliber. I'm not going to say that name. I don't want to say Deshaun Watson because he's a horrible person right now. I'm going to say he's more of like a Dak Prescott body, can throw the ball, can run, but doesn't have to run, doesn't need to run. JJ McCarthy is that guy. He can throw the ball, but he can run and doesn't need to run. I feel like Kevin O'Connell needs to give him, if you watch how the Cowboys handle Dak, it's pretty simple, cut and dry. And Dak is in year, 10 or 8? I don't even know what year it is for him, but it's still a pretty simple offense. Like, I feel like Kevin O'Connell wants to be this Sean McVay genius, and it's not working for this young quarterback.
Julia, what do you I feel like KOC has been talking so much, like Reggie said it, so much about technique. He's keeping it very technical in his analysis. Like, okay, he's struggling because, if you work backwards, he's not setting himself a good foundation. His arm angle's bad. His footwork is like, he's being very, very X's and O's centric in the way he analyzes this.
And I'm not surprised by that. I do think Reggie's right in saying it's like, what other quarterback are we asking about all this technique? And when you brought that up, Reggie, I think my answer to you was that Kevin O'Connell kind of created this monster for himself, right? Like he talked so much about that in the past few years with Kirk, with Stan, with all these other guys. I do think my perspective on everything is everyone's talking about they're losing patience. Why do we have to have patience? Why do we have to have this? we would be in a different, I genuinely think we would be in a totally different conversation. Like the fan base would be totally different if they were 5 games into last season and he looked like this. But because he missed that entire season, people are impatient. And I don't necessarily think that that's fair to JJ, because it's not his fault that he missed the entire season with injury. But I do think that the reality of the situation is people are losing patience because they've been hearing about JJ McCarthy. He's been a part of the Vikings for a year already. And even though it's 5 games in, they feel like he's been around longer than that. And that even though he couldn't physically do any of the things that he needed to be doing physically to be prepared to play in a league like this, he just didn't get to do that. You can be in the building. It's the same conversation we talk about over and over again. You got to be able to do these things. You have to have the experience. But I do think it would be totally different. And there would be a little bit more patience and grace for the guy if he hadn't been gone all last season with an injury. I think it would be a different conversation at this point. But it's also tough too, because like, how much time was he actually going to see at that point? We just don't know, you know? Mm-hmm. So I don't know. My perspective is I do think it's interesting, like, and people are reading so much into when Kevin Seifert asked, like, think about benching JJ McCarthy, like, at what point do you think? And Kevin just said, like, I'm not going to get into that with you right now. I don't think it's like him saying, you know, this is something I consider or whatever. I just think it's something that it's like he didn't want to answer that question at that moment. I don't think there's like much to read into his answer into that, because they're not at that point yet. And at this point where you're at in the season, you have like basically no chance at the playoff. You might as well let him finish out the year, get some more experience.
Yeah. It's almost like the worse you are, the less likely it is you're going to bench JJ McCarthy, because when the stakes are lower, well, that's when he can actually develop maybe without the pressure of expectation. I think that it's funny because Reggie brings up the quote, and this will, follow KOC forever. Like, organizations fail young quarterbacks. So in order to prevent that, KOC and Kwesi, they build this roster, super expensive, super veteran laden, win now mode. And in some sense, I've said this before, those expectations, I think, have weighed on JJ McCarthy, potentially in a harmful way. We don't know what's going on in his head, but it certainly impacts the way the crowd reacts. It impacts the discourse around him, all of the talk about it. All of that is part of the equation, is that this team was supposed to be really, really good, and it hasn't played out that way. I
also think it's hard too, because you don't know how guys are going to mesh, but then you have this young quarterback, but then you have all these veterans around him. So it's harder, I feel like, for him to take on this leadership role. Look at the Patriots, right? Like, they have all these young guys. Like, I feel like they relate to it. I don't know, I'm not in cahoots with all of the players and know exactly what conversations are going on and who's friends with who and blah, blah, blah. But the Patriots, like, they have this really great team. And a lot of the guys are like in their first or second year in the league. A lot of the best players on their team are in that spot. So that's another thing. I feel like that's another layer to this entire aspect. And it's a conversation that we've had in the sports department, is just, JJ McCarthy has this like funny, quirky personality, and he's obviously like really wants to be liked by everybody. And you start to wonder, like, how does that go over in a locker room full of a lot of guys that are older than him?
Yeah. And Sam too, like, you draft a kid 10th overall, and you got to see what you have in him. But then I don't think we've ever seen a situation where a roster has been built to win now, and then they throw a rookie quarterback in there and they're just like, all right, take us to the playoffs. Like, usually when you're drafting top 10, it's because your team sucks. And you guys get a chance to kind of grow together. Like with the Bears last year, the Bears were bad, and they drafted Caleb, and they were able to just kind of grow together. And now, they got Ben Johnson to straighten the offense out. And now look, like, they're 6-7 games. They've won 7 games, and the offense looks competent under Caleb Williams. And so when you have a situation like that you're sticking JJ McCarthy even last week, which is crazy, because I know that it's like some mental gymnastics going, because he's like, I have championship expectations for myself every day. Like that's how I go about my business. But then after games, he's just like, well, this is start number 5. I'm still developing, I'm still growing. It's just like those are two things that are against each other right now. But I get it. Like these guys in the locker room are in their primes. They only have a certain window to be great, only a certain window to win games. And then when you stick a rookie quarterback in there who has not played a whole lot, and you're trying to develop this rookie quarterback, but you got all these veterans who want to win because they see how talented the roster is around this rookie quarterback. That's tough, man. It's like I give the Vikings kudos, especially guys like Justin Jefferson, who probably should be over 1,000 yards right now receiving, should have more than 2 touchdowns. But every week he's just like, look, yeah. And last Sunday I thought was really honest from him. He's like, of course it's difficult. Yeah, like we're not sugarcoating it. Like it's difficult, but we're doing everything we can to help McCarthy grow and to help him be more confident out there. And it's just like, man, a lesser team would be dysfunctional right now, looking at what's going on.
The Vikings have won in Lambeau the last 2 years. Can they make it 3? We'll find out next. Vikings are 6.5-point underdogs at FanDuel. And there's no better place to get into the action than at FanDuel. They're an official sports betting partner of the NBA. You can bet NFL. You can bet college basketball, hockey. It's all there. It's all at FanDuel. Live wagering, definitely on the table. Same game parlays, a lot of fun. When we make our FanDuel locks, we're talking rushing props, receiving props, passing props. There are literal hundreds of ways to wager on an NFL game. We like to give you a little sampling here on the Squad Show. New customers right now can bet $5. If that bet wins, get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. That's the FanDuel Sportsbook app, which is very convenient and easy to use. It pays out quickly. So play your game at FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Ron Johnson teased it in the open, and now it's his time to shine. Why is Green Bay's defense going to allow TJ Hawkinson to get loose in the red zone? And how will the Vikings win?
Yeah, so in this week's 3-minute drill with the Vikings, you can find it on the pregame show and also Vikings.com. But I'm watching part of the film now just as we were talking because I was trying to see during your commercial break, like, hey, what is the one play? So the one play I'm looking at is they go 5 wides, but they use Jake Ferguson as the guinea pig, if you want to call it, right? So the first play, Jake Ferguson motions out, and they see right away his man coverage is Jake Ferguson on a cornerback. They're just like, look, he's bigger. Let's just run a body bang 8. He's running a bang 8. It's a 7-step post, but it's on timing. Quarterback has to let go of the ball. For some reason, when you see the way they play tight ends, McBride, same thing. They kind of forget he's there. Zach Ertz was able to run a shallow route and score on them. And so but they've only given up 5 touchdowns to those tight ends. But when you see the way they're giving up, it's miscommunication. So what the Cowboys did was, let's motion them out. Let's let Dak know what the coverage is. Hey, if they man up our big tight end, body him up, just put it on his body, and that's all Jake Ferguson does. He runs right at the corner. He turns for the post, knowing I'm not trying to run past the corner. I want to keep my body between me and the corner. I'm going to catch it, and I'm in the end zone. And Dak throws it quick enough so the safety can't react. The next time down, they have Jake Ferguson kind of be the hook guy. Say, hey, you hook up. If the safety honors you, which is the cover 3 safety, he's kind of sitting over the top of Jake Ferguson. I don't know if he's expecting the double move or what. He's waiting. George Pickens from the slot runs like a corner post wide open because the cover 3 corner has to honor the deepest of the thirds, and the cover 3 safety has the middle of the field, but he's kind of worried about Jake Ferguson. They high-low him with Pickens. Who could that be? That could be Addison. That could be Justin Jefferson. That could be Jalen Naylor. And I would not use Jefferson just because eyes are going to be on Jefferson. They put CeeDee Lamb on the other side, which was smart. That safety in that other corner had to kind of worry about CeeDee Lamb. So you got to kind of play that game. You got to figure out where to put a guy in order to make those safeties look. It's a ton. Every time a tight end ran a shallow route, they score. So Ertz and McBride, both times you see Packers DBs looking at each other like, whose guy is that? Like, what are we doing? And so I say that to say Kevin O'Connell can drop all the stuff he wants to drop on the back end. If it's there, take it. If it's not there, three times, the shallow route was wide open for a touchdown. JJ McCarthy has to understand, and then he can't throw a fireball. Like, throw it where the guy can catch it and run. Deebo Samuel's got one of those. The Steelers got one of those. It's just a simple under route. Make it nice and easy to catch. If you do that, you have a chance to win this game. If he's throwing fireballs to Aaron Jones running, because it could be Aaron Jones running the late leak. Like, Zach Ertz ran a shallow, but he ran it behind the line of scrimmage. And so I think everybody forgot he was in the route running part, and he just came out the back end by himself wide open, and he outran the linebacker. But the quarterback didn't throw it super hard. That was Jaden Daniels. And again, I'm saying some names that J.J. McCarthy, we hope he's going to be. Jaden Daniels, Dak Prescott, like, he should be up in that conversation. But if he can't make the simple, easy throws close, he can't zing in a post when the guy's wide open, we have a bigger problem. But that's the chance. So the chance is he has to make those throws, and we can't be looking up Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon like, oh, why did he throw that so hard? If that happens, they're not going to win the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Lions game, Julia, it's good proof that this can happen. You can go on the road with this quarterback and beat a good division rival. And the Vikings have gone in there the last 2 years, once with Kirk on the fateful day that the Achilles popped. And then the next year with Sam, they built big leads in both those games. This is a place that a lot of guys have success playing at. What are the chances they can pull the upset this Sunday?
I don't think it's as egregious as some people are making it out to be that the Vikings could win in Green Bay. I think they don't have a very strong secondary. And so, sorry, guys. I've been up for a long time.
It's a boring secondary. My
Sorry,
goodness.
guys. Yeah, they're so boring. I think that there is opportunity there for the Vikings to take advantage of their passing game. Obviously, we know the weapons that they have in that sense. It's like Ron was talking about with their tight ends as well, which is an added layer to that too, because it's something that they've not been able to really get going this season, which has been surprising too, especially when you have a young quarterback. But I think their pass rush obviously poses a huge threat for a young quarterback, especially one that maybe doesn't have the quickest decision-making skills at this point. But something that I think has been talked about a little bit, and Tom Brady talked about this when he was talking about JJ this week, is just having some more changing up your throws. I mean, it can't be fastball. It's got to be something different. You have to have more in your artillery there. And I think it's just that comes down to experience. But yeah, I think that they do absolutely have a chance in Green Bay. I do think if they can get their game going through the air, that's going to be a huge advantage for them as well. And I think that they probably are going to have to rely on that this week if they do want to pull out a win.
And Reggie Wilson, the odds of an upset.
Honestly, I was at the game in Detroit, and nobody gave the Vikings a chance. Like, it was double digit, odds, all that. Like, I can see it. Also, the Vikings have played their better ball on the road this season. And so, I think Flo is very complimentary of Matt LaFleur. Like, he said on record several times that he thinks Matt is like one of the best guys doing it and really respects his offense. That being said, like, he has done a pretty good job of corralling Jordan Love and making things difficult on that offense since he's been the defensive coordinator of the Vikings. Especially the last 2 seasons, I feel like that, you kind of take that game at the bank away. They kind of blew the Vikings out, but the Vikings didn't have a quarterback at the time. They started Hall. But I think he does a pretty good job against the Packers. And, we did mention earlier how that defense, that Vikings defense is playing better. So there is a chance that the Vikings come out and do well. That first drive usually always sets the tone. JJ McCarthy, when he was in Detroit, came in, dialed in, making all the throws, and it looked good. And then, last week, that first drive, it was like, dang, that's it? Okay, so they got a punt? Okay, cool. And so I think, he's probably going to go back to the lab, and they've worked on things. And that first drive, that scripted drive, usually is supposed to go well. And it kind of sets the tone for the rest of the day. So if they can come out and establish the run and get some yards going and move the ball down the field and get some points on that first drive, I think they'll be in good shape to keep up with Green Bay. Look, JJ McCarthy's coming off a game where he wasn't sacked. Like that was a pretty big accomplishment. That means the line is playing really well. Donovan Jackson had one of his best games as a pro. And so now they got 8 sack wielding Micah Parsons coming, at their doorstep. So like, I think that's going to be a tough matchup. They're probably going to line him up so that he isn't put into jail by Christian Darrisaw, because Christian Darrisaw is erasing everybody this year. And so I think that's going to be a tough assignment for this Vikings offensive line. So I'm interested to see how this goes. But I do think that I give the Vikings a chance. And this crazy, wacky season is you just don't know. You just don't know. Like, they could go out there and they could win by 20 or something. That wouldn't even shock me at this point.
Yeah, the Packers have been anything but unbeatable this year. Tight games, up and down the tight with Arizona, lost to Cleveland, tight with the Giants last weekend, lost to Philly, scored only 7 points. Like the Packers are gettable. Let's get a bold prediction in 1 minute each. Ron Johnson, give me something bold about Sunday's game.
Ooh, Sunday's game, a bold prediction. It's got to happen. It's nope, I'm not doing it. It's not going to be JJ. Let me go with I got to go I'm going to do it. JJ McCarthy, 250 yards passing. I'm going to do it. If it's any week, this is the week on the road.
He has not eclipsed 200 yet. We got him up to 250. That's bold. That's why it's a bold prediction.
No, he had 248. He had 248. Whatever, 2 games ago.
Oh yeah, that's I got some bad intel. I think somebody wrote. So he's got 5 games this year. Yeah, 248 against Baltimore, correct. And then in no other game did he have more than 158.
Correct.
Yeah.
And he threw 42 times against the Ravens. That was by far his furthest output of passes.
Correct. I'm going to say Ryan Kelly does come back. Offensive line gets to play together for like the first time this year, second time, and they will have a 100-yard rusher.
I was thinking Aaron Jones, 100 yards, but I'm going to go with McCarthy. I like that one too.
Yeah, 100-yard rusher. They've been running the crap out of the ball the last 2 games. They just haven't run it a lot, but they're running a really efficient pace. Jordan Mason's they kind of have it back to where they thought they would start the year, with Aaron Jones is getting 2/3 of the work. Jordan Mason comes in and pops a couple off. Had that touchdown against the Bears, of course.
It looks good.
Yeah. Rushing game was very complimentary. Unfortunately, there wasn't a great passing game for it to complement. Julia, bold prediction.
I'm going to go the Vikings defense will have 3 turnovers, and one of them, I think Byron Murphy's due for an interception.
He is so due.
Everybody's
man.
due. Reggie, get
all
bold.
right. Okay. To Ron's point, and to much of the Vikings fans' chagrin, I think TJ Hawkinson is going to have 2 touchdowns.
Look at that.
Wow, that is bold.
You're taking the Ron intel and just applying it right away to the bold
Watch it
prediction.
be Josh Oliver.
Right?
We'll take a very quick pause, then we'll whip it around one more time for a FanDuel lock. quick update on last week's FanDuel locks on the squad show. Julia had the Vikings scoring the first touchdown. Loss. Ron had the Vikings scoring 25 points. Loss. Reggie had Justin Jefferson scoring the first touchdown. Loss. We won't even talk about Sam's. We'll just move right along. He didn't get the Vikings to win by 17 points or more. No, he didn't do that. Foolish. All right, one more whip around. I want a FanDuel lock from Ron Johnson.
All right. Anytime touchdown score. I gotta hope this happens. TJ Hawkinson, anytime touchdown score. Let's go.
Yep. Gotta lean into it.
You know what? No, can I say any tight end? I guess it would have to be Oliver or Hawkinson. I'm putting my money on either one. Give me a Hawkinson or Oliver touchdown.
Either tight end scores. Julia, go ahead.
I'm going to go Vikings to score last, and that's plus 128.
Yeah, J.J. McCarthy, clutch gene. Reggie?
I'm just going to keep riding it till it hits, man. And he scores all his touchdowns on the road anyway. Justin Jefferson, first touchdown scorer.
That's degenerate behavior right there.
Yes.
Yeah. I lose all my money if I was betting in real life.
Random, before Sam goes, super random, true gambling story. When we were at Detroit, I forgot when I was there, but a guy came out of the casino in Detroit downtown, had lost literally every money. He was trying to sell us CDs, like his not like he wasn't like a rapper. It was his actual CDs, not even in the case though. Like it was just remember the big book of like CDs.
Yes.
Oh.
He was like opening up the book of like 48 CDs, like, hey man, $5, whatever CD y'all want, man. You got like he was so like he had lost so much money. He was like, I gotta go home. He was down so bad. Was
this 2005 or something? Like what?
It had to be like 2010 or 11, man. It was like right when CDs was almost out the door.
Oh
but it was
my
like,
gosh.
because I remember like Jerome Bettis was there, a couple other guys, and we felt so bad. One of my boys gave him like $20. Like, hey man, I don't even want a CD, man, but here's 20. Like it was just so bad. That's what Reggie reminded me of. Reggie over there, like, I need that Justin Jefferson touchdown. let me get that Justin Jefferson touchdown.
Come on, baby. I know you're good for it.
Justin Jefferson touchdowns anywhere.
Come on, baby.
Come on with your funky self.
Jittery over here.
Actually, Larry, his 77 sevens in one night and they lost it all in Vegas.
Oh my god!
Shout out to Dave Chappelle, best skit ever. Oh man,
that is Hey, y'all got any more of this?
Aaron Jones, 100 yards. That's my FanDuel lock.
There you go,
all
Sam.
Right.
That's the squad show for today.
Wait, who'd you say?
Aaron Jones, 100 yards.
Aaron Jones. Oh yeah. There you go. Yep,
100 yards on the ground. That should pay well. Julia and Reggie, check him out. Carol 11. Ron Johnson on the Ron Johnson Show. He'll be back on the squad show tomorrow, talking ball with Reef, Luke, and myself. Thanks for watching, listening, commenting, and subscribing. We'll talk to you next time on the squad show.